In 1928, a man at odds with the law owed Frank Sayers money for a printing job. To repay the debt, the man gave Frank a deed for 600 acres of rambling farmland near Potosi, Missouri. On it, he planted 7,000 apple trees and the seeds of an American dream. Oh, give me a home where the bison roam, and you're talking about Skip Sayers' home, a 6-square-mile ranch called SayersBrook, located in the Midwest's beautiful Ozark Mountains. 5 generations of Sayers have worked this land, dreamers all, beginning with Frank Sayers. His old home is still the main house on the ranch today, but he probably wouldn't recognize it, even though Skip Sayers knew his grandfather as a man always looking to the future.
He and I used to walk the valleys and the hills and kind of be a word spoken once in a while, but the meeting was always there between the two of us, and I learned a lot about visualizing the future through his eyes, and the way he would point me up and down these valleys and talk about nature, what the kind of things are important to a man.
But even Frank Sayers couldn't have visualized what SayersBrook has become, emerging as one of the best-run bison ranches in the world. And Skip Sayers' belief in personal responsibility and independence applies to the way it is run. For example, they have their own airstrip here to accommodate both animal deliveries and their human visitors. Unwanted visitors may find themselves at the business end of Skip's army of army equipment used to protect the ranch from poachers. They have a fleet of Humvees for traveling to those hard-to-reach pastures.
Get up in here. Get up in here, Hong. All right.
And they've even got real Dalmatians for their very own and very real fire department. It's a family business, but it's a big business. And it is one of the best. Just ask Merle Moss, the past president of the American Bison Association.
How good is the herd? I'd be proud to own a herd of this magnitude. It is one of the finest herds I have seen, a collection of animals, and I would put it in the top end of herds that I've seen here in the United States.
In fact, one of their prized bulls, Thunder Bear, is one of the top rated in the United States. The success of SayersBrook is as much innovation as it is dedication. A good example is the way they feed the herd.
What we've done here is to use a bale buster, taking 2 1,800-pound bales of hay and grinding them up and spreading them out into a 1/4 of a mile long windrow. This lets everybody eat at the same time, so we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner instead of one meal a day where the pigs get to eat all day long and the poor little guys don't get anything until the end of the day. This way you can take a herd that used to be like this, the big ones over here and the little ones over here. At the end of a year, they're starting to look like this. They're all uniform, wearing the same pajamas.
But why bison?
They used to say this business was just a lot of manure, but you can see that this bison business has turned into a gold mine.
And Skip realized he had struck gold after reading a book about the Plains Indians, a tribe sustained by bison.
So here it was, July the 3rd, 1976. Just finished the book, and the next day was going to be celebration of America's 200th anniversary, which was called...
It was the bicentennial, yes. And yes, it is a little corny, but that's the way it goes with Skipper. You have to enjoy all of his humor with everything else.
So that started us out. We had 3 animals. At the time, my parents were on a round-the-world trip, and we thought that we'd surprise them, and perhaps they'd think that their cattle herd had mutated and come around with these big humps on their back. Well, they didn't think it was funny at all.
So we went and bought 3 bison from a used car salesman. We should have known. They jumped the fence the first night, and it took us 6 weeks to get them back. But we got them back, and from those 3, we now have Skip's Vision, which is growing and growing.
Although SayersBrook is family-run, they aren't just doing this for their health. Well, come to think of it, actually, they are.
This animal is only nicknamed the buffalo because the French in the 1700s came over here and pointed at this big shaggy beast and said, "Le Boeuf." And boeuf in French is beef, and the Americans took the boeuf that the French called them, extended it to buffalo, and that's why we have Buffalo Bill and not Bison Bill.
You might call him Bison Skip.
I must have cooked something like 18,000 bison burgers and sausages. Oh my gosh, that's a lot, isn't it?
Get Skip Sayers talking about the benefits of bison and you're in for a fascinating lesson in history and health.
You can see we don't have these little guys sitting in a pile of grease here because we know that bison, a 3-ounce serving, has only 1.8 grams of fat, while the same amount of beef has 8.7 grams of fat. You can see we're not sitting in a well of grease. The scientists had done a history of the Plains Indians, used an atomic clock on their bones, their carbon. They were able to trace the various diseases that they had or didn't have. They never had cancer, never had heart disease or heart attacks. And these same Indians lived to be in their 80s and 90s. They died at that age because they didn't have dental care like we take for granted. These same scientists speculate, had they had dental care, they'd live to be 135 to 145 years. That's when we said, let's go, let's raise some bison.
But even more amazing is when eaten regularly, bison is proven to lower LDL cholesterol levels. Now, if Skip can just get everyone else to eat as much bison as he does, there are certainly plenty of choices, and all are for sale at the ranch and by direct mail.
This is the future of the ranch right here. This is the cool room where we're down to about 34 degrees. We'll go into the deep freeze where we have the warehouse of finished goods. There it's 40 degrees below zero. You got the 4 sets of wheels for the double gates. They came last week too.
Despite the rural veneer, SayersBrook is run like an urban corporation.
Anything else?
Weekly meetings are essential to coordinating the booming bison business, including the expansion into direct mail. It seems catalog shoppers are learning what the Plains Indians knew more than 100 years ago. Eating bison is like drinking from the fountain of youth.
That's one of the exciting things about being involved in this, because it's not only doing ourselves well and our direct mail end of it, but it's doing good things for people.
And that means jobs.
It shows that we're not one-dimensional.
Art Dupre is among those who've come here literally looking for and finding greener pastures.
This is the ground floor of a skyscraper, and it's very exciting to be in on something from this level and to be able to watch it grow. Everybody working together. There's no dissension that you commonly find everywhere else. It's dynamite. You know, as we constantly say, it doesn't get any better.